Hello, hello. Today I will be showing you how to shamelessly plagiarize someone's weapon from a weapon pack and turn it into your own little standalone mod, so you don't need to have the weapon pack installed just to use one single weapon. So first of all, we'll just launch xEdit. Once the plugin selection menu comes up, just untick everything by right-click and then select None, and then find the weapon pack you want to use. So the one I want is Bound Armory Extravaganza. Tick that one and then click OK, and we'll wait for everything to load. Alright, once xEdit has finished loading, we will click on the plugin from the weapon pack or whatever mod that you want to copy the thing from. Find weapon. Now I want to change the bound short spear, so this one here. And since it's bound, there is, if the mod author is savvy, there is also a mystic version, so we can see here short spear mystic. That's for the perk in the conjuration tree. Now we right click copy as new record into. This is asking us to change the editor IDs, but since we don't want to load the weapon pack at the same time as our new standalone mod, we don't have to worry about it. But basically the game doesn't like if you try to load the same editor ID on two different records, so if you don't make any changes to the editor ID, don't run both plugins at the same time. So we'll just leave it blank for now. Okay, okay. We can always change it later. Are you sure you don't want to change the editor ID? Editor ID conflicts will cause error messages. Yes, I'm sure. And then when you go to copy it into a new plugin, we want to pick the .esp with the ESL flag. We don't want any of the other ones. And then the file name, we'll just call it standalone weapon. And then it doesn't automatically jump there. We'll have to find it ourselves. So we can see here standalone weapon.esp, but you can see here it has the ESL flag, so it will not take up a spot in our load order. Here are the two weapons we copied over. So the quick trick you can use is to look at the form ID. The form ID is this random string of code. They're all over. And if it starts with 00, that means it's coming from Skyrim.esm. And if it starts with 04, you can see here on the left, Bound Armory Extravaganza starts with 04 as well. That's because it's in that spot in my load order. So all the records in this mod will start with 04. So let's just pick a random one. Okay, that's not originally from here, so that's a bad example. But if we go weapon, so everything that doesn't start with 04 will be from a different mod. So you can see 00, that's going to be from Skyrim.esm. 03 probably Dragonborn, there it is. And then 04, these are all original to this mod. So why that's important is if we go to standalone weapon and we click on file header, we can see it has automatically copied the master, which means there are some records in these weapons which rely on the original weapon pack, which makes sense. So we want to make it standalone. How do we do that? We have to find all the records in here which are not original to the vanilla game, basically, so that we can suck them out, put them into our own standalone plugin, and then remove the master. So the quick way to do that is to find all the masters we have. So there's only Skyrim, which we are happy with, and then there's the weapon pack, which we know starts with 04. So we go in here into our weapon, and up the top where it says value, we type in 04. This will show us all the form IDs that start with 04. So we can see here the first person model is original to the weapon pack mod, which makes sense. So it's being referenced there as 04 whatever. And the same with the equip sound. So he's actually got a custom equip sound, which is pretty cool. So the way we fix this is we go, oh, we're not fixing it, we're just plagiarizing it. So if you hold Control, you can see it underlines there, and then when you click, it will take you to that record. So we can see here it's automatically put us back into the Bound Armory Extravaganza mod and automatically selected that record for us. And then at the bottom here, you can see it says referenced by, and then 4. So if we click that tab, these are all the other items in the mod in our list basically of all the mods we've loaded into xEdit. This is wherever that's used. So this first person bound short spear static item is being referenced by these 4 records. And we can see there is our bound short spear, the mystic version, and then there's the 2 we copied earlier. So we know this is only being used by that weapon. Now we go and we right click the static, copy as new record into, and now here it wants us to change the editor ID. I think this is because the original mod is a master to ours, so we can just change this later. We can change it back, but for now we'll just call it stolen. We'll put stolen on the end or something. And then we want to tick our mod that we made earlier, which has our copied weapons. And then if we scroll to the bottom again, we can see there's a new menu called static, and there it is. Now, one thing to keep in mind in case you're not fully caffeinated, if you go into the record you copied earlier, now this is a new record, right? This is not overriding an existing record. This is standalone, but it is still relying on the mod pack. So even though we copied the static here and called it stolen, the weapon that we copied doesn't know that we've put the static there. It's still referencing the original one from the mod. So if we type in the 04 again, we can see there it is, first person bound short spear, and it doesn't have stolen on the end like we've put here, because it's still referencing the original one up here. So easy way to fix that is we just type in the form ID from the new one we had. So we can see the FE00802, and now it's vanished from the list because I've got it hidden away. But if we look for, where is that gone? There you can see first person bound short spear stolen. Okay, now the other one was the magic conjure bound weapon sheath sound. Here it is. Now we can do the same, copy as new record, call it stolen so it's easy for us to check when we're looking for it again. Here it is, sound descriptor. Now we just change it. You can also type in the editor ID, but sometimes it's finicky, like there, it just doesn't recognize, even though I've typed it in exactly. So it's just more liable to use the editor ID. I mean the form ID, sorry. Alright, now there should be nothing in this record that relies on that other mod. So theoretically this one's ready to go, although that might not be true for the static and the sound descriptor. They may also reference records from that original mod. So if we type in here 04, okay, so this one's safe, and the same with the sound descriptor. So these should be standalone, and I'll just do the same for the Mystic version while I've got it open. So this one seems to use the exact same short spear here, and you can see here the referenced by has actually gone down by 1 because we've taken it off the original and it's just on the Mystic. Okay, so we're on the Mystic one. Let's just change that to our stolen version for the static. And then we'll change this one to our stolen sound record as well. There we go. So now these two should be ready to go. So a quick check to see if it's ready. We can see the master record there. If we do right click, clean masters, it should theoretically vanish. And there we go. It's taken it off. So this mod should be standalone now. Although specific to this weapon in particular, since it's a bound weapon, there shouldn't be anywhere in the world that you can just find this in a chest, so you'll have to summon it with a command or something. So we can check to see which spell book it uses in the game and then copy that over as well. So what I'll do is I'll find the original weapon again and see where the weapon itself is referenced. So here's their weapon that they've made, referenced by bound short spear FF self. So that's the spell that gets applied to your character, which I assume just summons the weapon in your hands. And then you're like, how do you get the spell? Well, once again, you can click referenced by. Here it is, bound primary one-handed weapon. Here's the spell, manual cost, it just got all the details there. And then referenced by, how do you get the spell? Interesting. So, I have no clue where to take it from here. Alright, I reckon I figured out how to do it, so I'm just going to go to this book here that they've modified. So, they've taken the book, which usually just gives you the normal bound sword, and given it a different effect, which gives you their custom spell, and then in the MCM you choose which spell you want. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to copy the vanilla one. So right click up the top here, copy as new record into, and then we're going to do, actually we're going to change this to standalone instead of just copying the vanilla name. Copy it into our new plugin, and then we can close up that and that. So here's our new book, and at the moment it's called Summon Bound Sword in the editor ID here. No, where am I looking? Full name, Bound Sword, but we don't want it to be called that. So let's rename it to Bound, whatever you want to call it, Bound Custom Weapon. What's this again? A short spear. And that's the name of the item, but what we also want to change is the description of the book. So you can see here, Bound Sword. Let's just change that to Short Spear. And is there anything else? Spell, that's right. We want to change the actual spell which is being called. So let's go find the spell from this original mod and copy that to our mod as well. So we have the magic effect first, and then we have the spell here. And it's got all these effects, so what we're going to do, we're just going to copy the actual spell itself as a new record and just call it stolen. And that one also has some other effects we want to delete out. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do, we're just going to change it. Well, let me open the correct one. Here's the new spell we copied. Now we only want one of these effects because these are all toggleable through the MCM in the original mod. But we know that we don't want to toggle it, we just want the one same thing. So we can see there's the short spear. So we'll keep these two. So we'll delete number 11, and that one becomes number 11. So we'll basically just keep deleting them until we get to the short spear, and then that one we'll leave in. And we'll have to change the condition as well. Okay, so now we're down to having just spear and the mystic version of the spear. So the normal one, we don't really want any condition. So we'll just get rid of that. And we don't want the condition on the mystic version either. So I will delete that. And the reason for that is if we check the magic effect and scroll to the bottom, we can see the condition for the mystic binding perk is actually in the magic effect, not in the spell itself. We must copy the short spear effect as well as the mystic short spear effect as new records. We don't want to take away a prefix, but we do want to, we neither want to remove a prefix. We don't want to add a prefix. We want to add a suffix. There we go, stolen. And we'll add it to here. Those little pop-ups only come up if you have multiple mods selected. Sorry, multiple records, not multiple mods. Okay, now we have our new magic effects. And so here we shouldn't have to change too much depending on what sounds are being used. Okay, we can see here it's still referencing the vanilla one. Sorry, not the vanilla, the one from the original mod, which we're plagiarizing. So we'll just swap out that ID for ours, which would be FE000800. Now that ID might be different for you depending on how you've set up your new mod. And we'll do the same here. This has to become the Mystic variant. Now we're just going to make sure the book is also giving us the correct spell. Right. Here it is. The spell has to change here. Here we go, the stolen. So that gives us the bound primary one-handed weapon spell, which actually I should change that to. Let's just change this to make it more clear. Alright, now we won't get confused. Oh, and we have to change the name here as well. Bound short spear. And this should be okay to... No, and we need to change the effects here. So this should give us the normal magic effect, which is up here, 806. And this one down here should give us 807. Alright, and we should be almost good to go. I'll do a last spot check to see if we have any dependencies. This one here, okay, so the spell tome is... No, that I've got caught again by that. Here, we're all good. Let's clean masters. Nothing. So this should be ready to go. Now, theoretically, if we were to give ourselves the book, it will give us the short spear stolen spell, which is this. And when we activate the spell, we should get either the bound short spear or the mystic short spear, depending on if we have the mystic binding perk. So let's load this into Skyrim and see if that has worked. So we'll remember to keep it ticked and save everything. There we go, standalone weapon. Now, by default, this will be just in your overwrite folder, but we want to make it as a separate mod. So create in the left pane, create empty mod. If you're not sure what this program is, this is Mod Organizer 2. I highly recommend this instead of Vortex or anything else. Vortex is okay, but not for enormous mod lists. And just being able to drag and drop the plugins is so much easier. But anyway, that's my bias. See a standalone weapon. Ignore the rest of that, that's all my garbage. And then just refresh MO2 so it knows that this has something in it now. And then this will vanish because this is unticked, but we tick that and it should appear again. There we go, and it's already ticked. So now we can load into Skyrim and see if it works. Alright, and now I'm in Skyrim, and you can see I've got add item menu equipped. Now I'm just going to look for the short spear, or what do we call it? Standalone. So there's the plugin we made, standalone weapon. And here's the spell book. 2 minutes. I think that description is from a different mod I've got installed. And we've got the spell there. And it's automatically equipping into my left hand, I see. Oh, but I can equip it into either hand. So that should be okay. Let's just see what happens if I do into the right hand first. Beautiful, it's completely blank because I'm pretty sure we forgot to copy the loose files, so we'll have to go fix that. Un momento. Alright, we are back in xEdit, and basically what I reckon the problem was is the static. Since we had disabled this original mod I had never copied anything in terms of the models. So we can see here the static is basically the model which is displayed in the game when you have the weapon equipped. And we can see here bound shortspear.nif is the file name that we need to have loaded into the game. But since I never copied it, it didn't know where to find it. So we don't have to change that. We can leave it as is. We basically need to find that file and copy it into our standalone mod because we're thieves. So just to remember where that file is, I'm just going to save it there. And we can basically exit it now. And I didn't make any changes that time, so that's all good. Okay, and then here you can see there's the original mod and there's our mod. So I'm just going to select both of them, right click, and then open in Explorer. We've got both of them here. And you can see that there are no folders here, just 3 files. There's the plugin, which is what we loaded into xEdit. And then these 2 are basically archives, like a zip file. And to open them and browse them, you'll need basically a Bethesda archive viewer. One of the most popular ones is called Bethesda Archive Extractor. You can see I've got it added here in MO2 already. So we're going to open that one up. Alrighty, and once it's open, you just do open file. And then I've already got the file path. Oh, I had the file path copied. And then we want to check BSA. And this is basically everything that's in the compressed zip file here. So we don't want the scripts. We know it's in the meshes folder. Weapons, bound heavy armory. There it is. And then we want the one called bound short spear, which is down there. So we click up here to untick everything and we only want bound short spear. Then we click extract. And now this is where do we want to extract the file to. We copy the file path from our mod. But in any case, what you want to end up with is alongside your plugin, you want meshes, weapons, bound heavy armory, and then the bound short spear.nif model. You use the program called nif scope to open this. And you can see there it is, our little bound weapon. And then we want to untick, or not untick, we want to drop down these arrows so we can see BS lighting shader property. Okay, so we can see the textures we need are in here. And these other drop downs probably also have their own textures, so we can see Daedric Axe is being referenced for this portion. But it looks like those would be vanilla textures anyway. I'm trying to find out if there's anything unique to this mod which we need. But I suppose we'll have a look at the textures archive and figure out from there. So we copy the file path from the original mod. Open up the textures archive. It just seems to use the vanilla Daedric textures. So in that case, the missing model must have been all. So we don't need to worry about the textures. We can just leave it there. Now when we load into the game, it should be fine. So we can close out our mod. And then untick the original because we're dirty thieves, and ours should work just fine. So I'll boot up Skyrim again and we'll have a look if it works. Voila! And I think my animations are broken. Not sure what I've done to deserve this. There you go. The weapon works now. So if it was the case that you needed textures, you would just do the same thing basically, just suck them out of the archive and put them in the same folder structure. And that's pretty much it. Let me know if everything worked alright. And thank you for watching.